Hey everybody, it's the Review Revolution, back at you again with the last, sadly the last, it is sad, the last of the McFarlane Monsters Series 4 Twisted Fairy Tales. And even though I promised that we would end on the grossest one, because of the way things turned out, I figured that I would at least end on the Princess of Fairy Tales, probably the biggest name in the lot, and that's Red Riding Hood. Old Red Riding Hood here with her portrait, looking very, very nice. Holding what almost looks to be a fox, not so much a wolf like it's supposed to be, but looks like he's holding a fox. And there's the Twisted Fairy Tale sticker. Picture of Red Riding Hood. Looks fantastic. I've said it every time. These portraits, these pictures on the side look beautiful. Beautiful. On the back, just to recap, of course, we started with Hansel in his candy cane cage. Gretel in her red and abused looking arms and legs. The psycho nut job Peter Pumpkin Eater. Miss Moffat and her little play pal. Just got done with the very gross, very disgusting Humpty Dumpty. And we're going to go ahead and end with Red Riding Hood. Of course, these are by McFarlane Toys, because it's an attitude. Very sweet. Let's take a moment, let's pop her out of the pack, and have some fun. Be right back. Alright everybody, thanks for sticking around. Glad you did. We've got Red out of the pack, and I want to make a note. I was going to save it to the end to point out that at no point do I refer to as Little Miss Moffat or Little Red Riding Hood, because there's very little about them. These girls are grown-up ladies, let me tell you. And Red being definitely my favorite for many reasons. We'll say that. First thing I want to point out, she's the only one of the series who can stand on her own. She comes with a very nice accessory piece, but she doesn't need it to stand. She can stand just fine by herself. Now, she's really not standing on her own. Her sculpt, the way she's sculpted, with her legs positioned the way they are, and her feet, because she's got these really tiny feet. I mean, really hot, but really tiny feet. She's not really standing on her own. She's basically leaning on her cape. So, really you're setting the cape up and she's attached to it. But looks fantastic. I mean, it is a truly impressive sculpt. Sadly, it's probably one of the worst painted figures, though. From what I can kind of see is it looks like the figure is made of a black plastic, and the skin tone, which is very pale, it works. I mean, it has no warmth in it. It's just completely pale and very, very distracting. But it looks like it's a very heavily application on it. And yet still in some spots I can't help thinking that you can kind of see the black plastic underneath. It may just be the shadow, the natural shadow as it's hitting the figure, but yeah, there's some spots here. And then again, it could just be that when I'm looking, because she has her tattoos across her top of her torso, definitely kind of fitting with the thing. Just like with Gretel, who had kind of the candy theme on her tattoos. Red Riding Hood, as she goes through the woods, you've got kind of this vine and branch, sort of nature image or pattern on there. Again, I don't know if that's intentional, but that's certainly the way I see it. On the face, very nicely painted face. Again, very, very pale skin. If there's one guy who knows how to take white, black, and red and make it look awesome on a figure and on character, it's McFarlane. I mean, let's face it. Yeah, looking at the mask looks really, really good. You can even pull the hood back. Now, it doesn't actually stay back, but you can pull it back to reveal the whole head and see all the details on the mask. There's a little overpaint on the ear. Oops. But still, I love the red against the mask. Kind of give it the trim on there. Looks really, really good. Whether or not, if the hood could have actually been able to fold back, I don't know if I even would have done it, because even though she looks really good with that mask on, just having her head set way back in this hood makes it look even better. Yeah, I definitely like it better with the hood on. The cape, wonderfully sculpted cape, looks brilliant. Made of a soft plastic, not all that much different from other capes that get on figures. But when you look at the red with the silver trim, like I said, it harkens back to old Spawn figures by McFarlane. It looks as though that could have been a sculpt design for a Spawn figure, especially when you see the way it kind of falls at her feet and lays in a pile on it. I mean, it's almost like a train. If you were to start walking, she'd leave a train behind her. Really, really nice. The paint on the boots kind of got the deep, dark red. The silver is painted nicely. The black is painted very clean. So again, other than being very, very distracting, on top of being very distracting, it's done very nicely. Just like with Gretel, as I said, if you get close and look at the garters, and that's still cool to say, you really see that there are a few other paint issues. And the problem is that the little paint issues, considering that the other parts are actually done very well, when there are little paint issues, little areas where the paint is a little thin up here, or there's a little drop like here, it really exaggerates it and makes it look worse than it is. You can kind of see here up at the top, it goes outside the line a bit. And again, it's not major paint issues, but it certainly exaggerates it because how well the rest of it looks. On the articulation, if you pull the hood back again, her head does actually turn, but you have to kind of keep it lined up, because if you don't, the hood really won't fit back on right. So, even though you can turn the head, you really want to keep it facing forward. This one arm is articulated at the shoulder, but based on the way it's sculpted, because take a look at the hand, that's going to be important later. Because of the way it's sculpted, when you bring the arm down to her side, yeah, it's not all that good. You probably would never pose it like that. She is also the one, I guess, other than Humpty Dumpty, who has the least articulation, because there's nothing in the legs at all. Those are pre-sculpted. And again, considering how much work the cape is doing, I don't see why the legs couldn't have moved. The cape's doing all the work keeping her standing. Her other arm is posed a little backwards, actually, behind her back. And she does have articulation in this hand. Oops. Kind of behind her back. And there's some articulation in this hand. Closed hand. And the reason for that is because one of her accessories is this huge, almost ceremonial style dagger. It's got the blood on it. Freshly used. And just like with the axe from Peter and the bone from Hansel, there is a peg that pops off. And actually, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it in. But if you put this in her hand, no. I'd have to pause the video to do it. It's not worth it. Well, okay. Hold on a minute, guys. Hold on. Okay, I'm glad I did that. I was going to have to put it back in her hand anyway. But yeah, you can see that once in place, actually it fits in her hand like so, And it's rather in an almost unnatural angle on her arm. I may have the hand twisted the wrong way. I may have the dagger in the wrong way. But it does face out like so. And along with her, almost, I'm not sure how you would refer to it. This very kind of the stance where she's almost going to be presenting something. What would that be? Well, if you know the story, the big bad wolf. Not really looking so big and bad anymore. Wonderfully sculpted. Love how the fur turned out. Great colors. And the eviscerated guts pouring out. Really disgusting. In the actual story, the woodsman that Red Riding Hood met is the one who came in and chopped open the wolf and rescued Red Riding Hood. In this case, it looks like she cut out the middleman and did the job herself. But very nice with the tongue sticking out and the eyes. When you look, if you go down, following the guts all the way down, at the very bottom, we see there's old grandma that the wolf ate. So, just a last little surprise for you as we wrap up the Mcfarlane Monsters Twisted Fairy Tales. Today we had Red Riding Hood. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed the season. Certainly thank everybody for watching. Have a happy Halloween. Rate, comment, subscribe, join the revolution. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.